hello everyone. Welcome back to yet another set of interviews featuring members of our intermediate cast of High School Musical. I am pleased to introduce you today to, I'm going to unpin my video and bring everybody onto the screen. Gallery view, here they are. So we have Tanaya, Aylin, Lincoln, Jenna, Katie, and Alexandra. And these fine individuals are playing a role that is actually not in the script. We've created a pre-show, which we call it a prologue. So there's another little skit that we do beforehand that is based on some of the characters that are in the show in terms of the themes. So these guys are brainiacs. And we kind of took a spin-off of another well-known TV show, and their characters are Amy and Sheldon. Maybe that sounds familiar. So how many of you, who plays Amy? Put up your hand if you're an Amy. And so that means that the other three are Sheldons, right? So first of all, before we actually perform a little bit of the scene, I want them to have an opportunity to perform their scene because it is quite funny, it's cute. And well, before we do that, let's talk about you, the performer. First of all, I want to ask you, does anybody have any, like, what did you like about playing your role? Do you have an answer to that particular question? Like, is there something specifically that you liked about it? Tanaya?
Something I liked about the role that I got is that it's very, like, different from roles that I've had in, like, the past. Because I mostly play, like, the, like, villain kind of. So this one's, like, a really different type of person, so it was really fun to do that.
And it's good to broaden yourself as a performer and try different things, because you're right, you've had a few roles where you've been the nasty villain. You're so good at it. Aylin, how about you?
What was the question again?
What did you like about your role? What was it that you liked about it?
Well, I liked my role because Amy's a pretty, like, I guess she's, in my opinion, she's a funny person.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like her expression is usually confused.
Oh, okay. Very good. Lincoln, how about you?
I like the role of Sheldon because usually I play like a salesman and stuff. So to be a brainiac, it's pretty different.
Yes, definitely. Good stretch for an acting skill, right? Yeah, fantastic. All right. So what I'd like to ask next is there? Tell me a little bit about your acting journey. Like, what is it that you've done in the past? What has brought you to this particular role? What are some things that you've done in the past that's helped you to grow as a performer? What have you done in the past? Aylin?
I did a theater group before I entered Marquee.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was called, I don't know what it was, Spotlight Theater Group.
Mm-hmm.
And I did Seussical, the musical, and
that's a great show.
And so for practically all my shows, I was in the ensemble.
Right. And do you feel that being in the ensemble, it helped you to grow as a performer?
Sort of, but for this show, I was trying to go for the role of Kelsey, but I was like, I don't think I'm gonna get it.
You never know, right?
I also tried to think positively too.
That a girl. That's exactly what you have to do. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything to add? Jenna?
I started theater when I was 6 at Marquee, and my first show is like Annie. And theater's really helped. Like, what I want to do when I'm older is like backstage makeup and costumes. So like Marquee's really helped with like trying, like, my interest in theater has been like helping me with kind of what I want to do when I'm older. So
I didn't know that about you, Jenna. This is really awesome, because, like, how old are you now?
I'm turning 14 in June.
Perfect. Because I don't know if you're interested in this or not, but we are always looking for leaders in training, and you have to be 14.
Yeah.
And you could definitely be a leader in training because and you could help in the costume department. And maybe even makeup too. We don't do a ton of makeup in summer camp. We do though if it's required, if there's some specifics required, but I'm gonna keep that in here. Fantastic. What about you, Katie? What's been your journey? Tell me about yours.
I actually did my first show in Marquee when I was 9, and then I wasn't able to make it back to Marquee because I used to live farther away. And then at my old school, we did a bunch of Shakespeare plays.
Yeah.
And then I moved up here to do Marquee, and I've been doing 9 shows in Marquee so far.
You're on a roll.
Yeah, High School Musical would have been my 10th.
Well, we're going to get you to perform today, that's for sure. Lincoln, do you have something else to add?
Yeah, I started when I was 9 also, and I've been trying to keep positive, and so far I've only done 4 shows, so.
That's okay. It happens in time, right? And what you hope to do is to gain more skills each time. You learn new things. And do any of you find that you are able to learn by watching other people perform? Or yeah, good. I'm glad to see that. And I know that myself as a performer, I've grown a ton by just by watching other people do their thing, like in rehearsals, but also to hear what the directors are saying to them as feedback. That is critical too in growing as a performer, for sure. So yeah, good for you. I'm glad that you're taking that lesson. And okay, so Alexandra, do you have a background or a journey that you want to tell us about? I don't want to leave you out. I don't want to put you on the spot either. So if you don't have one, it's okay.
So I started with the effective speaking competition.
Oh.
And that's how I actually learned about Marquee, because I had a friend who also went in this speaking competition, and she did Marquee. She was really good at the improv. I mean, not impromptu, sorry.
Yeah.
And then so she told me about Marquee, and I found it interesting, so I signed up. And
very good.
I haven't been here very long, but I'm excited, and I'm always learning new things.
You've got a great attitude. I think you are just a go-getter, and I think that's going to come in very handy for you. Good. So moving on to, before we do our thing, does anybody have a funny story that's happened in the past to share? Lincoln.
In Chitty Bang Bang, I had to play 2 roles pretty much at the same time. And so as the car, I was one of the wheels, and I didn't get there on time for 2 of the plays.
Oh. That was for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, right? Because our car was played by people with prop pieces and wheels and stuff. Yeah. Aylin, how about you?
When I have 2 stories. When I was doing Frozen, I forgot to ask Cameron to help me put my dress on.
Oh.
And then I went out.
Go on.
In my blacks.
Oh.
And then in Aladdin, I for the finale, the bows, I always went on the wrong side. I always had to look for Sienna because she was in my group for coming out. And I always went on the wrong side. But for the last show, I finally came out on the right side.
Well, thank goodness for that. Right? We learn as we go. Jenna.
Funny, because I was rushing to the other side.
Jenna, go ahead. Your turn.
I remember in The Little Mermaid for the camp, a bunch of the younger cast members, they kept getting scared of the Ursula costume.
Yeah.
And so when the person who played Ursula, she kept going up to them and going like that with the tentacles, and they kept running away. It was really funny.
Katie, was that your story?
No. Mine was from Little Mermaid though.
Okay.
So in Little Mermaid, we were doing the first thing, and I was Grimsby, so I had my hair all braided back and stuff. And I go down the stairs, and there's a little boy points to me. He's like, "That's not a dude. He has braids."
Guy in the audience?
Yeah.
They're well observant, definitely. Tanaya, you have something?
Yeah, I remember for like Chitty, for one of the shows, I was like the tail catcher, so I had like props, so I had like this big net, and I also had like a bell. So I was going through one of like the side doors because I was coming from the audience. So but I was holding like two things, so it's hard to open the door. But so my bell was making so much noise. So when I was like trying to open it, someone was like, standing like sitting right there, and they like jumped. They're like, I was scared. I was like, sorry.
Oh, I love these stories. Alexander, did you have your hand up?
Yes.
What's your story?
Mine is pretty similar to the Aladdin one. On Aladdin, I exited on the right side of the stage the entire play, except for the finale where I exited on the left side of the stage. So for our final show, I ended up not being there for the bows because I was trying to run around. Like, no, shoot, wrong side.
Oh my gosh. It's really good that you actually learn to laugh at this stuff after a while, right? At the moment you feel like, oh no, and you're panicked, right? One last little comment, Jenna, go ahead, because we're going to do our scene in a second.
I had I was just thinking of another one. During one of our dress rehearsals for Frozen, I was on stage and we were like doing one of the scenes and we were looking around because the other person who was supposed to be on stage wasn't there. And so I was reading out, I was saying her lines because I had known her lines too. So I was saying both lines, and then all of a sudden from backstage you hear her screaming her lines into her mic from backstage. It was hilarious because she wasn't on stage, but there was still this. It was hilarious.
Ambiance noise. All right, Amy and Sheldon's, are you ready to put on your acting cap? And we're going to bring this scene. Normally it's only two people, folks, that do this scene, so one of each person. But because we have a collection of them here, they're going to take turns singing the lines of the scene. So I've assigned who's going to say what when. But this is how the scene would have gone if you had seen their show live. Are you ready, folks? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Lincoln's got props. He's got glasses and everything. Nice.
I actually
All right.
think so.
Aylin, you're going to start us off with Amy. And go. Scene.
I'm not quite sure I understand the attraction of standing in front of a group of strangers and acquaintances, attempting to vocalize a piece of popular music, which is usually written in a key not suited to your voice.
I am too at a loss to define why this social activity is so popular. I don't believe there is a basis in scientific fact to define this strange anomaly. I do, however, have a proposal. Perhaps it requires more study, this karaoke.
You may have a point, Sheldon. How shall we proceed?
I believe our best chance of success lies in the gathering of all pertinent facts and figures without bias one way or the other. Now, if we were to conduct interviews with all the current participants, we should be well on our way to accumulate our first bulk set of data.
Fascinating. If your theory is correct, then we will be certain to spend many months, if not years, accumulating said data, and then adding processing time to a certain responsible outcome, one way or another. A very odious task indeed. Perhaps a more efficient model would be to immerse ourselves in the phenomenon directly and measure our reaction on a personal level.
What do you suggest?
I Got You, Babe by Sonny and Cher.
I got you, babe.
I got you, babe.
And scene. Fantastic. That was great, you guys. Well, I want to say thank you all. We're out of time right now, but I want to say thank you all for sharing your time with us to take, to do this interview with us, and for also putting on that acting cap and for sharing this scene with us. It was so much fun. I'm glad you were able to get an opportunity to actually perform it. So, folks, there you have it. We have some fantastic students at Marquee, and this is our way of applauding you and your hard work, and we just think that you're awesome. So thank you once again, and we hope to see you again very soon. In person would be lovely, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You keep safe. And as we play out, we're going to send a message to all of our people. There's a title song in this show that is very pertinent to this particular time. And we're all going to say it together. I don't know what it is. It's the main song in the show. Okay, you ready? We're going to say it together. 3, 2, 1. We're all in this together. Keep well, everybody.